Oh, that one, yeah, that's recorded from last year. Alrighty, well, thank you kindly. Appreciate it.
Sorry to take you away.
It's okay, man. I mean, I just feel bad because, like, when I was really young, like 5 or 6, my mom and dad had the Steve Martin Wild and Crazy Guy album. And I would hear inklings of like, oh, he's on Saturday Night Live doing King Tut or whatever. And they would put that album on it. It just fascinated me so much. I would just ask them to put it on and play it over and over again. And there's tons of dirty jokes on it that I had no idea what those words meant, what it was about, but it just sucked me in. And eventually they let me start watching shows like that. We got HBO. I could see stand-up specials. I could see Gallagher on Showtime. I was just like a sponge. I wanted to I was so into anything that was, funny. I didn't even really fully understand why. I was just kind of into it. Like, or probably had a lot to do with my dad. My dad loved like Bill Murray movies. He loved Stripes. He loved Meatballs. He loved all the Mel Brooks movies like Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. Whenever they'd be on network TV, we'd get to stay up late and we'd make popcorn and we'd watch it. And just at some point when I was in grade school, like something finally clicked in my head that said, you know what? I could make stuff like this. I could be funny and make comic strips or cartoons or do skits or do songs or whatever. And in grade school, there were like talent shows or whatever, and I'd get up and I'd do a lip sync or I'd try to do something funny. That's all I had to work with. That's all, it's not like they're going to let a 4th grader into a comedy club. But as I got older and as I started to learn a little more, it just kind of made me, there was just this desire in me to want to go out there and try to be funny and get those laughs myself. So, age 15, I talked my mom into taking me up to Milwaukee to go to the Comedy Cafe and for their open mic night, and they let me up there. I did like 5 or 10. And the first show I did my Gilbert Gottfried impression. So that's been around since the very beginning. I think I did him singing the 12 Days of Christmas. It was a really hack premise bit. And that was the start. And once I did that and I got the first set of few laughs, okay, I want to do this. I got to figure out other ways I can do it. And since then, I went to art school. I have an illustration degree, so I've done comic books. I wanted to become an animator. That didn't quite work out, but I did improv, I did stand up, I did plays. I was just trying to find as many outlets as I could to be funny. And then I've been still collecting all the records, still soaking all that stuff in. And then once I was finally able to hear Dr. Demento for the first time, and I realized I could actually create stuff and send it to him, and he'll listen to me because that's how cool he is. He's not some faceless record label that isn't going to care about me because I'm, a kid named Luke from Wisconsin, to someone like Dr. Demento, he someone sends him a tape from, the middle of nowhere, he'll actually listen to it. And, as far as I could tell, he always responds to people. It was like April of 95. And within a year, I had already sent him 3 or 4 demo cassettes recorded on a $30 dual cassette karaoke machine I bought at a Walgreens that I found there. And it's like they didn't even know it was still in their system. It was sitting up on a high shelf that they had to get a ladder to get it down. And the guy brought the thing down, and it was so cliche. He went, when a huge puff of dust kicked off the top of it, and they didn't even know what the price was. I'm like, how about $30? Like, okay. And I took it. So my first demos were recorded on that, sent to Dr. D. He wrote, this is before I had the internet. He wrote me letters back, and he was really supportive and saying, oh, I like your ideas and your lyrics, but the recording isn't good enough. You got to get to a studio. My real name is Luke Sienkowski, and the last name is spelled Sienkowski. At some point, junior high school, I came up with a shortened version, Luke Ski. I think it was based on, there was this brief fad back in the 80s at some point where it was kind of a frat boy mentality of putting ski at the end of your name. Like, hey, Brad Ski, hey, Fred Ski. And I'm just said, well, I already have Ski at the end of my last name. I could just call myself Luke Ski. And then kind of as a tribute to the great Gonzo from The Muppet Show, who I always loved growing up, I figured I'd throw the great in front of it. and it was not initially for me to perform as. It was for a character I invented for a comic strip for the school paper and for my own things. I did some comic books, and so I named this character the Great Luke Ski, who was loosely based on me, and other characters were based on my friends, the way all comic strips are. And then eventually, many years later, when I started to perform my music at conventions, I didn't really have a stage name to call myself. Yeah, I just kind of felt it didn't really have much of a ring to it or pizzazz to it. And I'm like, well, just say them the Great Luke Ski, but that is my name. And it just stuck. And, that's kind of where that took off. Been about like 1994. It's like there's, people at conventions, people who are a little more from the old guard who see me coming in, and my stage name is the Great Luke Ski. Oh, what kind of an arrogant person is him to call himself that? And I'm like, dude, it's just a Muppet reference. Never mind. I really don't think I'm great. It's just some moniker, whatever. I want everyone to get along and be having a good time. And sometimes it's hard because people will be like, think I'm a jerk. And I unfortunately was raised. I was really sensitive ever since I was a kid. I don't like being picked on or made fun of. It's sad. I'm 34 years old and I'm still dealing with issues from like the playground in 4th grade. I'm still worried about the bully that's going to kick my ass. So when some random internet person is out there talking smack about me, I do my best to basically just, let it roll off me, but there's some part of me that's still affected, and I just I don't know how to make it go away other than hundreds of hours of expensive therapy. It's like as that, perceived image of me began to grow and grow, I kind of started being like, all right, well, that's the way you see me. And I'm growing up listening to hip hop, and that's what like half of my music is hip hop parodies or originals. I'm like, for the most part, like you look at the first 1 or 2 singles a rap artist put out, a serious rap artist, and the song is about how awesome he is, how great he rhymes, how many girls he gets, his awesome car, his bank, his bling, all this like, I'm so awesome, so it's like, well, if they're gonna say that I'm this big jerk, I'll just play that character, not so much the jerk part, but just being like, yeah, I'm awesome. Just have confidence, I think, well, I've come to be kind of a polarizing figure, I think, in general in my life. I think people either really like me or really dislike me. And sometimes that comes from personal misunderstandings, and some of that comes from people who've never really talked to me or heard of me, making their own judgments without having given me a chance to talk to me about it. And, from that will come tension, misunderstandings, fights, there's things I really, if it's somebody I care about, I don't like the idea of anybody I care about either being mad at me or any two of them being mad at each other. People accuse me of being vain, and they're like, well, what would be the ultimate fantasy for Luke? And this could very well be it. Yeah, it's like, I can't believe I'm about to admit this, but it's like, there's that whole thing where it's like, yo, you can sign up for automatic bill payment deduction so that you don't have to worry about paying your bill every month for the power or the cable or the whatever. It's like, that would be great if I knew for sure there was going to be that much money in my checking account every month. I never know how much money is going to be in my checking account because I have to wait to go to the con, see how I do, and I'll know Sunday night whether or not I can pay the bills on Monday. And it's kind of sucks to have to live that way, but that's the choice I made. It's like, I want to give this a shot, and it has been rough the past couple of years. Sometimes it's hard to do this. It's hard to make a living at comedy music because it's just such a weird niche thing. It's like, how do you go and explain that to somebody at H&R Block who wants to do your taxes? Yeah, at this point, I'm also a caricature artist, and there's various places I can go to, draw caricatures for tips, or I do private parties and stuff like that. That's basically how I will make money on the weekends when I'm not at conventions. And it's just lately has been pretty rare when there's a weekend where I actually have enough money in the bank that I can just take a weekend off. So yeah, I guess making it for me would be just being able to continue to go out to where the fans are and perform, have them like me, and make enough money off of it so that I can continue doing it without it causing me stress or forcing me to go broke or be hungry all the time. I don't really want to put it totally in terms of like financial, but if I was making enough money off of what I was doing so that I could get my rent and my bills paid and have a little bit left over to, see movies, buy DVDs, whatever. I mean, back when I was younger, being a fanboy as I was, I used to collect crap loads of action figures and comic books and tons of stuff. And this part of me is still into that to some degree, but I just kind of hit this point in my life where it's like, you know what? I own enough stuff. I don't need to go all out. I don't need to own every single action figure of whatever line. It's like, I'll just buy the one or two I really like and put them up on my shelf and look, there they are, you know? It's like, I'm not looking to like be crazy rich so that I can, you know, that big house and a mansion, a car. It's like, I just want to have enough money so that I don't have to worry about the rent and the bills every month and, you know, be able to be like, hey, I feel like seeing a movie. Okay, I'll go. I can afford it. I have, you know, X amount of money in my bank account, and I know that I won't have to choose between seeing this movie and eating, you know? So I'm not trying to, you know, make huge amounts of money here. I just want to make enough so that I don't have to worry about money all the time, you know? So, but, you know, I would like to be able to go to the store and buy like all 5 seasons of Babylon 5 on DVD and be like, yes, I have this much money. I'm taking all of my fandom home with me now. Firefly, yes, of course I need this. What are you, crazy? So I'm not there yet. I have friends who make that much money. I go to their places and I look at their DVD collection. I'm like, my life sucks. I want to get a cubicle job so that I can make a lot of money and have no soul, but own all that stuff. I guess my point is that, you know, I'm not trying to be the next Weird Al. And I mean, from the success and fame point of view, yeah, I'd love to have that kind of success and fame. But when it comes to what I'm trying to do creatively, I'm not trying to be the next Weird Al. I'm trying to be the first Luke Ski. You know, I want to do my thing my way and hope that, you know, people who hear my stuff like it and think it's cool and funny and interesting and want to support me. And to me, the best part of being the great Luke Ski is when somebody comes up to me and tells me that they appreciate what I'm doing. And as long as everyone's having a good time, you know, that's what makes me happy, you know.
Have yourself a very Lucy weekend. Sell a lot of crap. From now on, our wallets will be really fat. We need to pass that bad news along.
Yeah, I think what happened is like with the film scene, you know, it was really kind of considered like not appropriate to like try to sell yourself or like sell your. It was okay to like have them and have them for sale, but not really like, you know, promote yourself. And then I came along and I'm like, and like I kind of blew the curtain rod of the water, and suddenly everyone was like, well, he's just a big obnoxious jerk, but if he can be this obnoxious, then I can at least say, friend, yes, I have a CD for some. You know, so I kind of made it to y'all at least slightly more acceptable to, you know, promote yourself and be like, hey, I'm an artist with an album, check that, you know. So as long as I continue to be a big obnoxious prick all the time, I can kind of, you know, take that bullet for everybody. Cool.
And yeah, that may be a little cheesy and sentimental, but you know, that's really what I think the best part of this whole thing is.